The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. I am getting better. My VIP subscribers, I say thank you so much. My anonymous supporters, I appreciate the love you are showing to me. My kings and queens, I love you so much. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Must we continue to be allowing people to take advantage of us? It's like blackmailing us in order not to do what we think is right for our people. For how long must US and Europe continue to dominate the African? And what are the things that they are now going to use in order to keep us under control? Because this has always been the idea of these people, to keep the African under control. Divide and conquer has always been the approach they are using. There's G20 summit that is going to be happening very soon, and now they are saying that they are going to give us Africans permanent membership, because in the past we were never permanent members. And what have they seen? And all of a sudden they've decided that they want Africa to be a permanent member of the G20. Is because of the BRICS that is coming up. In order for us not to move towards the direction of BRICS, they have to put in measures to continue to have Africans so we can be under control. We need to wake up from all these tactics that these people are using on us, and this we are allowing them to continue to do, because if we don't obey, they put sanctions on us. There are countries in Africa that have been sanctioned, yet they are doing well and their economies are growing. We have Mali, we have Niger, we have Burkina Faso. So why is it that we as Africans will continue to fall a prey to these people?
The African Union is set to become a permanent member of G20, which would give the continental body of 55 African states the same status as the European Union. But you have to ask yourself, why now? Look, with the expansion of BRICS, it has finally dawned on the colonial West that Africans have an alternative to the classic Western-led world order, and they are desperate to rein Africans back into the new colonial power sphere. For what feels like eternity, Africans weren't treated like equal partners, and instead any relationship was built on the foundation of subjugation and control. But with the facade of Western dominance cracking and new alliances forming, Africa's might can no longer be undermined. It's finally time for the world's most important continent to step up to the plate and redefine its destiny. It's easy to be fooled by Western promises of seemingly altruistic equality and partnership, especially after getting a seat at the table, isn't it? But never forget what they did to you and milk this cow for what it's worth. But ultimately, I want to know your opinion. Will joining the G20 benefit Africa? Let me know in the comments, and I want to wish you all the best.
The US doesn't like all this sovereignty and making its own decisions that Africa is up to, so the United States now has decided to put some pressure on Africa to basically sanction itself against buying any goods or anything else from Russia other than grain and fertilizer. Grain and fertilizer, okay, fine.
Here's the New York Times headline.
Yes, so now the New York Times is reporting that U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield is warning African countries not to purchase anything from Russia besides grain and fertilizer, or else what? Or else what? You know what? Sanctions.
Because we love our sanctions.
Our favorite things, right? So you sanction them, or we're going to sanction you, right? Now, you may recall that just a few weeks ago, we reported that African nations, they had a conference lately, they published a paper, and they said we need to tap into our own resources of fossil fuel for energy because we are too dependent on foreign imports and therefore too vulnerable to outside influences. This is prime example of that kind of thing, right? So the rest of the world said, no, Africa, you're going the wrong way. Don't use fossil fuels. You'll screw up the environment. Like, it's fine for us to have done that, but you don't start, right? Don't go and use your own oil. Unless we want it, then give it to us, right? But no, we cannot have African nations making sovereign decisions. We need to reserve the right to tell you what to do.
So here's what U.S. Ambassador Thomas Linda Greenfield said when, and we'll go through what she was planning here with this New York Times. In this New York Times piece, it lays it out pretty well. She says, during a visit to Uganda, that countries could buy Russian agricultural products, including fertilizer and wheat, but she added that if a country decides to engage with Russia where there are sanctions, then they are breaking those sanctions. She says, we caution countries not to break those sanctions because then they stand the chance of having actions taken against them. I mean, the audacity.
That's a not so veiled threat.
Like, you bullies, right? She says that purchasing Russian oil risks sanctions. So if you need fuel, you can't buy it from Russia because you run on fuel in Africa. You run on diesel fuel. You need diesel generators. You know, how else are you going to live, right? If you need it, sorry, that's a violation, and we will come after you. The United States, already to a horribly poverty-stricken, famine-stricken part of the world that gets hit the hardest when we put these sanctions in place, is going to bully them. She goes on to say, even though many of U.S. European allies are still buying Russian crude before a ban takes effect by the end of the year, many African nations, including Uganda, have not joined the U.S. in condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Oh, maybe they're independent and they can make their own decisions, like Serbia.
Maybe
right?
they don't want in on your fight.
Maybe like Serbia, which made a natural gas deal, and now Russia is building a military base in Serbia. And they've made their point. They know what they want. They know where their allies are. They remember NATO bombing. They remember their country being destroyed. And many African nations have a long memory of U.S. colonialism, U.S. military intervention. And they rightly blame Western sanctions as well as war for raising food prices and exacerbating shortages in Uganda. Just specifically Uganda, we're using it as an example here. She was asked by reporters to clarify this position. I like this because I pulled up the transcript of her speech. And the question was, are you planning to say what you just told me, the reporter, to the leaders of those countries and those representatives who you are meeting with? And Ambassador Thomas Greenfield says, I'm going to be, she basically says it's going to be a listening tour. She says, I'm going to be listening to them. This for me is a listening tour. It's how, I want to hear how they want to deal with addressing the issues related to food insecurity and finding solutions. So I'm not going about some blame game. What I am about is finding a way forward so that we can address the food insecurity needs that people are feeling every single day. People are starving. People are suffering. How can I and the United States government use our positions to help Africa? How can we address these needs? As you know, Administrator Power was in the region last week discussing food insecurity with African leaders in the Horn of Africa. Secretary Blinken will be on the continent next week, and all of this is a lead up to what we'll be doing during a high-level week in New York in September and the African Leaders Summit in December, and the President will be hosting it. Oh, I can't wait for that in December, to see the President of the United States hosting the Africa Summit so we can tell them more what they can do with themselves.
Sure. Also,
is Toto going to be there?
Then I would go.
I mean, okay, you're here to listen, but also you have an agenda of what you don't want them to do. Also, like, I don't know, you're traveling on U.S. taxpayer dollars. Maybe you should just listen on the phone then, instead of doing all this threatening.
Yeah, but also to listen to food insecurity, like, how is it for you guys to be so food insecure in a region that we've raped for so many years? Like, what is that like? Like, we will literally come into your country and steal your resources. What is that like? Can you tell me?
Yeah. Oh, Ethiopia, you're hurting? Sorry.
I just, like you're on a date for the first time. Like, I'm really interested in you, Africa. Can you... Just died in your eyes.
I just hope they use the like baby voice, like, oh, tell me about your food insecurities. Like,
right.
This is like pandering. This like pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like this.
Go ahead.
So pandering, it just pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to know about your food insecurity, and we want to find solutions for it.
But we're also going to tell you what you can't do to solve it.
Here's an idea for finding solutions. How about we stop stealing your resources? How about we stop placing undue debt burdens on your countries, right? So that you can never claw your way out of poverty because of the International Monetary Fund and the amount of debt that you take on at the behest of the Western colonial powers and imperial powers that rape your countryside on a regular basis. How about that? Yeah, but we'll invite you to Washington for a little Africa summit so we can tell you more about how we can build.
We cannot continue to allow them to use these sanctions as a tool to continue to keep us under control. If we continue to allow them, we are the ones that are going to suffer. And because they always want control over our resources and to continue to be taking the resources out of Africa, they always put these things in place. But Africans, it's time for us to wake up and also do what is needed of us. We have every right to decide where we think we can partner with or where we think we can go. Okay, and if we don't unite as a continent, it will be very difficult for us to fight these people. Look at what they are doing in South Africa. Because of the things that they are getting in South Africa, and South Africa is moving towards BRICS, they are doing everything possible to keep South Africa under control, because if South Africa should finally be part of BRICS, they are going to lose all the things that they are getting in South Africa. So in order for them to continue to be sucking the resources out of this country, they need to put in measures so they can keep South Africa under their control and to sanction them. And they think that sanctions will cripple their economy. Look at China. With all the sanctions, at the end of the day, it is the United States of America that is suffering. They are always trying to turn us against ourselves. And that is the reason to which they are making sure that we do not unite as a continent, because the moment we come together as a continent, they will be in trouble. So they always try to use the divide and conquer strategy in Africa. And now they are changing their approach, because even if we finally get this seat or become a permanent member, it will be of no use because our voices wouldn't be heard. They won't take us serious and will still continue to be under the influence and their control. We should not be fighting for becoming permanent members, having permanent whatever among these people, because they said that a cockroach can never be innocent in the midst of fowls. So we will still go there and still be facing the same thing, and maybe worse than what we are seeing, because now they'll have an upper hand to control us. Our voices haven't been heard. We only go to add up to the number, like Dr. Arukana rightfully said. So this will not change anything for us as Africans. And we need to fight for power for ourselves. Look at Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Now they decide what they think is best for them, and they don't allow anybody to dictate for them. And they know about these sanctions and whatever, yet they still decided to take a bold decision in order to take control over their resources. So this is what we Africans we need to understand, that until we come together as a people, it will be very difficult, and these people will continue to use other means to get us to their side so that they can continue to be controlling us and to be sucking the resources in our continent. So this is not the time for us to be falling for these people's traps and whatever. At the end of the day, we are suffering. We can do without these people. Sanctions will not do us anything. We have the resources. If they sit down to tell us if we don't do A and B, they won't give us whatever, then you also tell them if this is what you want, then we'll not also sell our resources to you. They can't force you. You have the power than these people. But why our leaders are failing to act is a question we always ask ourselves. People who depend heavily on everything from you are having power to tell you what to do at what point in time. No wonder the CIA leader said even our leaders, they decide who leads us. So because of that, they don't have a say than to always please these people. If not, why can't you be who you are when you know very well that these people are depending on you? Look at the resources they take out of the continent. Look at the loans they give to us in the name of helping us. We know that now these loans are the reason to which Africa we are not moving forward. And these things are out there. We have all this information. If we continue to have leaders who will be dancing to the tune of these people, Africa, it will be very difficult for us to move ahead. BRICS has come and it is a game changer, and we cannot continue to be doing the same things expecting different results. So in order for us as Africans to also take control over our future, we need to move away from these people. We need to move away from these people because we have lived with them for decades and we haven't seen any change. Things are getting worse day in, day out. People are still trying to control us. Tell us what to do in our own continent. Don't do this. Don't do that. Why? Why must it be so even till date that we claim we have our independence? How can you claim you have independence yet somebody sit there to tell you what you should do? This is not independence. We are still under slavery in a modern form. Just simply because the chains are not on our hands, we find it difficult to understand that this is a new form of colonization that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah talked about. And if economically we are not free, what shows that we are free? Because our economies are still controlled by these people. And that is why Africans, we are not moving forward. And we need to rise up and fight for that better Africa that we are looking for. And that one, we need leaders who are bold enough to face these people and to move us away from the union of these people that is not helping us, because all the organizations aren't working in the favor of Africa. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa.